OpenOffice Calc using functions to solve problems 1. So we're now going to combine functions to solve a real-life problem. So for instance, here we want to create a unique username for members of a book club, for instance, to log into a blog or a website that they're working on. Okay, so here we've got what the username should look like. Okay, so it should consist of the first 3 letters of the name. So this first one would be DEB, the first letter of the surname, which is the R, the level number, so 1, 2, or 3, and then a random number. And the random number depends on which level they're at. So if they're at level 1, it should be a random number between 1 and 100. So let's say 99, for instance. Okay, so it's easy enough for you to type it in like this, but it would be very time consuming if you had to do this for, let's say, 2,000 members. Okay, so instead of typing it manually, we're going to use the functions that we've looked at so far. So I'm going to start off with equals concatenate. You can use concatenate, or you could choose to use the ampersand sign in between the different sections. So in other words, where you've got the plus here, instead of having the plus, you would have the ampersand sign. Okay, but I'm going to use the concatenate function this time around. Okay, so firstly, I want the first 3 letters of the name. So I'm going to use my left text function. So left open bracket, select the name, semicolon, and then I want the first 3 characters. Okay, and you can test yourself as you go along. So at this point, you can close all brackets and press enter, and you can look at your output. Okay, so we've got the first 3 characters of the name. The next section is the first letter of the surname. Okay, so now after the first left function, I'm going to put in my semicolon, and I now want to add the first character of the surname. So I'm going to use left again, open brackets, select the surname, semicolon 1. Okay, and let's have a look at that. So that's correct. And then I want the level number. Okay, so here you can make it quite complicated if you wanted to. You could use your mid function to start copying from a certain character, or you could use your find function to find the space and then start copying after the space. The easiest way to do this one is to actually use your right function, because the level number is your last number or the first character from the right hand side of your cell. So I'm going to select cell C2, semicolon 1, and then I'm going to press enter. So there's my level number now. Okay, now the next section is where we're going to add the random number depending on which level they're at. So I'm going to put in my semicolon. And to do this, I'm going to use a nested if statement. Unfortunately, you can't just use a simple if statement because we've got 3 sets of criteria to look at. Okay, so I'm going to open a bracket to do my if statement. So if, open bracket, and now I'm going to test my level. So cell C2, and if it's equals to level 1, then semicolon, it has to create a random number between 1 and 100. And this is a function that you looked at in previous years, so rand between, and I'm going to create a random number between 1 and 100. Okay, right. Okay, then close your bracket there. What should happen if it's false? Now we still have 2 sets of criteria to look at, so we can't just put in one section here. We actually need to add another if statement in our nested if. Okay, so if we're going to test our level number again, if it's equals to level 2, okay, then create a random number between, and in this case for level 2 it's between 101 and 200. Okay, and if that's false, it has to create a random number between 201 and 300. We don't need to put in another if to test whether it's equals to level 3. Okay, because what we're saying is if it's not level 1 and if it's not level 2, then create a random number between 201 and 300. Okay, and at this point you just need to make sure that you close all your brackets for your if statement, and then also close the brackets for the concatenate. Okay, you'll see it will actually make the bracket bold, the opening bracket bold, as you add the closing brackets at the end. Okay, and if you do make a mistake with your brackets, OpenOffice is quite good. It will tell you that you've got that you've made a mistake, and you can just say, yes, please correct it for me, and it will correct it for you. Okay, now you can use your autofill just to copy this down to actually create those usernames for you.